You know, we've been talking a lot about two really important stories: the migrants arriving at our southern border and the climate crisis that is making storms like Hurricane Ian more frequent and more intense. And while they may seem like separate stories, they're actually very much tied together. Imagine having to make the decision to leave everything you know, everything you have behind, to start a new life far from home. It's a scenario millions of people now face each year. And more, climate change is to blame. For many families in Central America, it is a choice between migration and starvation. Severe drought is killing cash crops in Central America's dry corridor, a region of farmland that stretches between Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. According to scientists, climate change is one of the factors increasing poverty and food insecurity in Central America. This problem is not new. It's only getting worse. In 2019, NBC News' Jacob Soboroff traveled to Guatemala, where people were leaving to find work. When they leave, they often go north, often towards family already living in the United States. Here's part of Jacob's reporting.
The roots of Guatemala's migration crisis are here, in their once fertile farmlands, now dried out. Many who have left were in the coffee business, like this farmer. He says he's barely surviving by selling bananas instead.
You know at least 100 people that left to the United States.
No less than 100 people.
They've been hard hit by drought and a plant-killing fungus fueled by climate change. In Chiquimula, this village leader took us to a coffee farm.
This is the fungus. It is the consequence of drought in Guatemala. Before, there were really good-paying jobs.
His coffee plants, previously as good as cash, now worthless.
NBC News reports U.S. authorities stopped migrants at our southern border more than 2 million times over the last year. That is a record high. While it is not the only factor, climate change is contributing to that influx in migration. This climate crisis is not unique to Central America. In fact, much of the world is adjusting to the realities of climate change. Because of extreme weather, the UN Refugee Agency estimates more than 20 million people across the world relocate within their own countries each year. Just in the United States, weather disasters displaced about 1.7 Americans in 2020. And each year, more Americans face the possibility of becoming climate refugees in the blink of an eye. These pictures from Fort Myers Beach, Florida, speak 1,000 words. Homes ripped to shreds by Hurricane Ian. The monster storm caused billions of dollars in damage. Families now forced with a decision: stay and rebuild, or move and start over. Which choice would you make? And as the New York Times reports, quote, after the storm, many Floridians limited by low or fixed incomes face finding a decent place to live in a state that is mired in an affordable housing crunch. The state's enduring popularity, inflation, and soaring rental costs have made it one of the least affordable places to live in the nation. You see, climate isn't just a crisis on its own. It's also making all of these other issues worse. Everything from our nation's housing crisis to world hunger. And climate disasters continue to reshape our world, whether it is the thousands of families that relocated to states like Texas after Hurricane Katrina, or people escaping wildfires out west, or the Central American farmers forced to leave behind farms that have been in their families for generations. All of us could soon be climate refugees. It's how we respond as a global community that's going to define the next chapters of the climate crisis. Solving this issue requires urgent and bold ideas, as well as neighbors helping neighbors as new extreme weather events touch corners of our planet. And so as you see these stories, as you read about the migrants who are showing up at our borders and the way that they are being treated, remember, we could soon all be climate refugees.